One, and welcome back to the She Gallery Show. Thank you for being with me. Tonight is the last segment of season 13. I am so happy. I am so happy for a bunch of different reasons. First off, we ended an amazing season. I think we covered more than I bargained for in a very short amount of time. If you visit our website at sharinghisenergygallery.net, you can check out the segments that we've had with Steph, with Scheme, with T-Kid, with Shan and C's, and we still have not received DJ Nonstop's video, but we should have that up in the air. And then you hung out with me a lot of the times as well. We spoke a lot about Edgar Casey, Gnostic knowledge. We spoke about Mary Magdalene. We spoke about esoteric knowledge. We spoke about aliens. We spoke about Mobb Deep. We spoke about Prodigy. We spoke about the 5%ers. I think I already said that. We talked about Mary Magdalene. We talked about a lot of things, and we talked to a lot of people. And that started, what, July? It's now September, the end of September. Fall just started. So that's kind of exciting for us fall lovers. Absolutely ready for fall. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully you guys had a very safe summer. If you live in the city of Chicago and you stayed in the city of Chicago, you don't just come here, start trouble, and leave, but you're actually in the city of Chicago, you know it's been a very difficult summer. I hear gunshots out the window all the time. I don't leave my house after a certain time for that reason, because it's just not what it was when we were growing up. When we were growing up, we were able to hang out in the streets and hang out in each other's front porch and just, hang out and be kids and be curious and get into trouble and stick together and grow up. And that's where we're at. Can TV celebrating 40 years. I turned 40 years old this year as well. ABC, the first graffiti crew here in Chicago, turned 40 years this year. Hip hop is celebrated for its 50th year anniversary. Hip hop was recognized on August 11th, 1973, as the birth of the term hip hop by Africa Bambaataa. And this was at a party that DJ Keith Cool and his sister Cindy Campbell threw at on Sedgwick in New York City. I was not there, I was not born. But I do know that it was Cindy Campbell's birthday, and that was the reason for this party. So they were having a jam. They were celebrating life. They were celebrating a birthday party. Hopefully you guys enjoyed a lot of birthday parties over the summer. Hopefully you guys are still celebrating your life, because every single day is a blessing. Every single breath that we breathe is such the blessing. If you are struggling with COVID or lost somebody to COVID, or know what it's like to have asthma problems or breathing problems, or have been in a situation where you've had a near-death life experience or recently lost somebody, then you really focus on this magical breath, this life, this force, this source. And whether we think about it or not, we're ultimately sharing this breath, this space. And it's so important to take care of our space, because it's the only space we have. And it's a lot of space. We have a ton of space. We could do so much, so much. So DJ Kool Herc and his sister threw this party, and it was a jam. And you know what? This is hip hop. This is cool. This is beat. This is music. This is soul. This is something that was felt through their heart. We learned that the first element of hip hop is considered to be DJing, and that we learned is the technology part of the elements, as Trickster teaches me. Everything else is in our organic form, and the DJ is the technology. And yet it's the first element that was actually created as a form of entertainment for kids in New York who didn't have instruments in school. I don't know what school you guys went to, but maybe you had music class and you were able to play, the what do we all get? The recorder? That's what we got. We got a recorder. Everybody got a recorder. Past that, maybe you just didn't have any more access to music instruments. I didn't have any further instruments access past the recorder. But in New York, they really had nothing. And whatever instruments they had, they were taken away, or they just didn't have them. So the kids took the parents' record players and this equipment that was made to play music and turned it into their own instrument. So in a sense, they recycled or upcycled. I don't know what that would be considered, but it was getting creative. It was being creative and then making music, making a beat, something that you really feel. And I love dancing. So, you hear a song and you're just like, yeah, that's my jam. And you automatically start getting up and you automatically maybe start feeling good, start doing the dishes. Te da ánimo. Like you want to do something and you want to be productive. And music does that. And it's kind of cool, like depending on how you feel. If you're sad, you want to listen to your little sad music. If you're happy, you want some hip hop. You don't want to be sad. You want to listen to this. You want to make your own music. Whatever you want to do, music is a powerful tool. So the DJ is essential, right? At your music, that's the first thing. And then you have your MC. And to me, that's like a lyrical force, poetry in motion with a beat that follows. And it really unites with that first element. So once these two elements come together, they're one and they're magic. And they're like a force, And then we have the third element that would be considered breakdancing. Again, we have this organic form that is made from feeling this movement. So everything, back again, to influencing each other, needing each other, and being, your own creative force. You're creating your own moves. You're creating your own divinity. You're trusting yourself to do these things, and then you're challenging yourself to master them. The same goes for graffiti. And so I repeat that growing up in the 90s, at least, I came here in 1988 to La Villita, and I saw gang graffiti. When I moved to Tallman is when I first started seeing style writing graffiti. Now I learn. Now, from somebody that comes from Mexico, everything in Chicago is new. Snow's new to me, doors, lights. So when I saw graffiti, I thought this had been here forever. I didn't know it was new. I had no idea that it was a new movement to the city. But now I'm so grateful that I grew up with it. And it always feared me because I didn't want to be a toy. So in 1993, my brother gave me my name, Salo, and started LBC. And, I've talked about this before, it didn't grab me. I sucked at writing with the crayons. I have little tiny hands. I'm 4'11", and I'm a very small girl. But anyway, I did start to battle, and I started the party production. So Girly Girl, I didn't start Girly Girl production, but Girly Girl production was a production with Melly, with S.H.E, Esmeralda, Melly's little sister, cousin, I forgot her name. But Melly was Trauma's little sister. I was Nick's little sister. S.H.E was Junebug's baby mama. Rest in peace. Air Crew. So we were all just kids having fun, throwing parties, having jams, going to raves, which all of this is coming back now. It's really weird to see. Apparently now we're like adults and stuff. But I like to think that we're cool adults. Anyway. Point being is that this is such a new movement that people maybe thought that you outgrow it. And because we're in it, and this is so new to us, because it's only 50 years old, the dinosaurs are still here for the most part. For the most part, the dinosaurs are still here. And so to me, we are living a very important time in history because hip hop is such the force. And I know I'm not going to be here, in the future forever enough to see where this movement will go. But I know that we're here now in the beginning, and I think it's such a beautiful thing to celebrate for all of it. Moving on to the graffiti element. Again, going back to starting from influence, from getting out of trouble perhaps in your neighborhood, or many people just combine the gangs with the graffiti. But point is getting by together as a unit, trusting each other when you don't trust society. I know what it's like when you don't feel like you're a part of society, when you're in school and you feel like the teacher's not really addressing you. They're addressing the kids that they know are going to make it. And they've already established that that's not you. I know what that's like. And that's why I push what I push. So the fifth element, going back to knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom means Sophia, means the world, means everything. So if you know somebody named Sophia, or your name's Sophia, you're thinking about naming your daughter Sophia, do it. It's a beautiful name. Wisdom. I don't know. Well, actually, I do know one Sophia. She's not a close friend, but anyway, it's a beautiful name. And we talked about knowledge referring to the male element and wisdom referring to the female element. And the Nations of Gods and Earths Association derived from Islamic religion. Clarence 13X in 1963 left his Islamic religion and started the NGEA, the National Gods and Earths Association. And so all of this goes back to respecting one another, to going back to our roots that Africa Bambaataa, Zulu Nation, brought on. And then that derived into its own thing. Breaker Ray can better assist with that since he is an original member of Zulu Nation. And we were recently having a conversation on these elements of hip hop. So there's, in Chicago at least, I feel like the community that I'm in, most of the people that I know practice graffiti, but not a lot of them fully understand all of the elements of hip hop or care to. And that's okay. So there's a huge egoistic aspect to all of this. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that when we were growing up, it wasn't cool to be a graffiti writer. You were being chased, you were being bullied from the cops, from the gangbangers. And that's not the case anymore. Right now, graffiti writers are being celebrated. DJs are being celebrated. So when something is so new, it gets judged. And people don't know how to handle that, so they freak out. And I think we have to be a little bit open-minded to our evolution for the sake of our youth, for the sake of our children. So this has been a wonderful summer. We started working with the Illinois Medical District last year on a mural honoring our efforts, or they were assisting, helping, supporting, and honoring our efforts to help educate on graffiti, on the educational and divinity aspect, spirituality aspect of hip hop. For me, it's like hope. We're selling hope. I'm not selling art. I'm serving hope with education, through education. And I'm really happy today because today was my first day of school. And I found myself in this classroom with these 60, 70 plus year old people. And I'm just like, yeah, Plato, what's up? And I realized that it doesn't matter how old you are. You be as curious as you want. You're not, I think that there's this thing about when it's the middle age crisis, that when you go through this, you feel like you should be somewhere in society. And then if you're not there, then you feel like you're a piece of crap, or you're just not good enough, or, for whatever the reason. So most of the suicide rates are amongst middle-aged white males. because that's probably the people that are mostly pressured by their parents or something to perhaps do something different than they actually want. So not impersonating oneself to appease somebody else, you know, that's very difficult. So in many ways, a lot of us are still enslaved. I started talking about turning 40 this year and Mary Magdalene, and then I also want to talk about the Freedom Center in Cincinnati. It's just, I know I've talked about this before, maybe, I don't know if you guys remember, I talk about so many things, but the Freedom Center, my gosh, you have real-on experiences on what the slaves went through. And then you think about this like, oh, well, that happened a long time ago. Why do we care? Well, it's affecting us still for sure. Many of us are still writing with PTSD for sure. And we're still experiencing these experiences. We're still enslaved in many ways. So this Freedom Center takes you through the beginning of time. And here is where you see all of the scholars, all of the African-American scholars. Like, you knew like a million languages, like it was part of being. So you had these very smart intellects, very smart intellects. You have these intellects that are living their own life, and then they get robbed out of everything that they created, and then they're made to basically demean themselves and serve somebody else that doesn't understand anything, any of it. None of the morals, none of anything. They just see that it's cool and they want it and they take it. Well, they hurt everybody. They hurt civilization for their own gold. I promise you, at the end of the rainbow, if you're going about things the wrong way, it's just an illusion. There's no gold at the end of no rainbow. The journey of living, enjoying the moments of living, enjoying your family, your education, the things that matter while we are sharing this breath, because it is so, so precious to follow your own passion. I personally have been gypped of a lot of these personal experiences. I haven't had children. I haven't had these experiences, but I've had different experiences, different forms of creation, different forms of co-creation. So we all have ability and choice. We all have free will. And I think that it's very important to be true to yourself at every stage of your life. And I know it's very hard to do the right thing, but it's so very important to do the right thing. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. I met Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet. When I say I met him, I didn't really meet him. He was around in the 1800s. But I feel like I know him. I've studied him long enough anyway. So in 2007, in the beginning of the season, I talked about somebody that committed suicide. I talked about my background, my party days, my reckless days. And then I talked about what changed me. And for me, it was somebody that committed suicide, that called me right before he committed suicide. And I died for sure. A part of me died. And I feel like when somebody at that age, also 24 years old, or I was 24 and he was 25, it kind of changes your direction in life when you experience such sorrow, such loss at such an early age. But it also makes you appreciate life a lot more also. And for me anyway, it made me feel like I had to hurry up. Not right off the bat. At first I thought I was going to die, and I was very sure of it because that's how I felt. And we all experience death differently. But after the fog went away, I continued to realize that this person was still communicating with me. And for 8 years, I studied everything that this spirit form was showing me, including Edgar Cayce. So I started talking about this in the beginning of the season, and this is a wraparound. And I know that video didn't get recorded, so you're not going to be able to see it, and we have 5 minutes left. But I want to end this segment, the season, with the topic of death and spirituality, because death is something that we all experience, that we're all going to experience. Mourning is something that we all experience. And at the heart of hip hop, we have this essence of knowledge and wisdom. And part of that essence of knowledge and wisdom is understanding how divine we are. We are the masters of our own universe. We're all sharing the same breath. The NGEA Association teaches us that 5% of the nation are trying to reach the 85% of the ignorant nation because the 10% of the elites are laughing at us. And I don't think we're funny. I think we're beautiful. I think Chicago's beautiful. I think our culturas are beautiful. I think our languages are beautiful. I think our differences are beautiful. And this breath that we share is priceless. Knowledge, education, unity. That's hip hop. That's love. Mary Magdalene. I visited her for my 40th birthday. Somehow I made it to France. God sent me there. And I listen to God. I trust God. 1,000,000%. It's the only thing I really trust. It's a force that has not stirred me wrong. The hard part is trusting yourself. When I spent my 40th birthday with Mary Magdalene up in some cave in South France, where she spent the last 30 of her years. For my studies, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, actually ended up traveling to Europe after they were rushed out. When Jesus was crucified, they, according to my studies, actually set him up, put him on this tomb. And the agreement was for him to leave, to fled and never return. And that he and his wife, Mary Magdalene, went to southern France to continue to preach. And that their family is buried under her basilica, where I also visited and saw her remains. There's a lot more to teach on that, but we only have 3 minutes. But I'll look forward to returning next season and talking more about all of the saints that I've studied for so long, and spirituality and faith without religion. Because I've found a lot of comparisons with a lot of her studies, a lot of her teachings, as well as these Islamic derived teachings that the NGEA Association, and that maybe a lot of us are trying to share, which ultimately is just to understand that you are divine and that we are all love and that we're all sharing the same energy, sharing his energy. So whatever troubles you're going through, don't give up on yourself. Don't think that just because everybody's becoming an artist now that you're in higher competition. You know, look at it as a bigger way to collaborate and to create more projects, because Chicago has a lot of potential. We have a lot of amazing skills, like a lot of really amazing skill, not just in the hip hop community, but all over. And post-COVID, this is what we've been trying to do, is heal. We all know, doesn't matter what medium it is, we all know that the arts heal, whether you're making music, writing a poem, you know, whatever your art form is, it's healing, because that's what art is. So, yeah, keep it light, keep it cool, keep God. God bless you, and I'll see you next year. Love you guys. Peace.